So yeah, it looks like something interesting is being suggested about the nature of individual fulfillment and what it does to the human being. But yeah, I mean, we may need one more webinar to go into all that. So we can, but I understand. I take your points. It looks like we are saying that child-centered education is not about individual choice and freedom for us, and nor is it about personal fulfillment in one's own life or in the larger social context. And but yeah, so but now to go back to what Venkat was saying earlier, that to him child-centered education is about making learning possible and accessible for everyone or each and every child. So what could that mean?
Yeah, he even said enjoyable, which sounds great, sounds wonderful, but I feel it's easier said than done. But I would like to go into this idea a lot.
No, I just meant that, in any classroom interaction, can I deliver content so that each and every child, no matter what her ability or is able to get something from it. Because if I don't come with that attitude, I'm just going to, deliver my lecture and, be done with it.
No, so then you're saying that if each child is to get something, you're implying that my expectations will differ for each child, and then I will assess each child's learning in an ongoing way, and I would define the content differently. The content I want to teach, I may define that, but I would teach it in different ways to each child, and so and I must find a way to make it happen. So in this sense, the it's a child-centered education, focus on the child in this way.
Can I just clarify one thing? Are you talking about learning styles? That whole thing about each child has their own learning style and then you have to match the instruction to that? Are you talking about that?
No,
because I don't believe in that. That's why.
Right. No, I don't think it's about learning style or teaching style. But maybe we could go a little bit into why we are skeptical. Why you're skeptical about it?
No, it's just that research hasn't held up that notion that every child has a stable style of learning, and that your instruction, if you match to that, you would end up improving their learning. It just hasn't. There have been numerous theories, different kinds of learning styles, and measures have been made. Half the children can't be classified using these measures. That itself is a problem. And when you try to match instruction, it doesn't work. I mean, so it's just basically the lack of scientific evidence for this.
Right.
That's all. Though it's a very appealing theory and people love it, but
so to just come back to how we can try that each child gets something in a classroom, we can use a variety of methods, I suppose, so that each child can tap into something, or we can just patiently repeat material which does work well, and in our context, because we have small numbers in a classroom, repeating and being patient with the child and just seems to work in terms of their absorbing some of the content. Just to clarify that I'm not suggesting that it's the same degree that all children will understand the concept to the same degree. They won't.
Because they are different and their abilities
absolutely
vary. But then what we're saying, that child-centered education means that knowledge and skills are made accessible to children. And in this sense, we don't give up on a child's learning and understanding, right? And so I guess in that word accessible, a lot is implied, and this is what may be implied.
I just want to share one story. So recently somebody observed a class of mine, and later she was telling me that the topic I covered could have been covered in half the time in any other school. And then she said that it wasn't because I was being inefficient. She said it was because I was ensuring that everyone in class mastered that, again to the extent possible. And she also said even those who seemed to have got it quickly benefited from that extra time. Yeah, so maybe this is one of the trade-offs. This is one idea of choice.
Yeah, so just to emphasize that you are including the fact that children will have limits in their learning,
Yeah.
and it's not just a matter of finding the right tools and motivating all children to the same level.
Not
But
at all.
when I see the child, I must see a potential to learn, and I must address that.
Yeah.
Now another thought comes to my mind. So can we try to expand this definition of learn to the potential to learn beyond knowledge and skills, almost like learning for one's overall well-being. So, and what could that mean? Learning for one's overall well-being.
And being child-centered in that broader sense,
Yeah.
right? And actually, this is one way of looking at child-centric that really excites me, because it's saying that we respect each child as a learner, right? By respect, I mean we listen, we take what they say with the right amount of seriousness, we don't talk down to them, and a learner in a holistic way, not only in the academic. Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, I think the culture of our school is one of having a regard for children and a kind of unconditional regard.
Yeah.
It doesn't depend on that child being good child or good at some particular skill. We have respect and affection for all children automatically, and it's not about praising children and building their egos. I think we are not doing that.
Yeah. If we could summarize this, I would say in a school community that practices child-centered education, children are not seen as incomplete beings. No? Fundamentally, spiritually, children and adults are equal. I mean, we are on the same page. Of course, the children know less and they are more immature in many ways, but in a very deep sense, we are on the same page. And when I put it like this, I feel this whole tension between adult-centered and child-centered, it just goes away.
Yeah. But this shouldn't mean that we cannot challenge their behavior or make different demands on
No,
them.
not at all.
Yeah. That may be necessary.
But there is a strong and continual message from the adults that each of us is a child of the universe, and we don't need any justification to be alive or to be present. Yeah, that is a nice way to approach child-centered, I would say.
Right. Yeah.
But can child-centered education address the question of passivity and resistance in learning? How can we go into that?
Yeah, like I was thinking about it earlier, and what you had said at the beginning also, that children are being dragged through the education designed by adults, right? It's dictated by adults, and this may create some dichotomy between autonomy and passivity, right? So we should examine that. And maybe one reason why parents and educators are worried about adult-driven curricula is that it makes students passive in school, and to ensure more involvement from students, we say that curriculum should be child-centered. Yeah.
So, why are students passive at school? I think people would traditionally say that the knowledge they learn is fragmented, it's unconnected to their lives, it's disconnected to their lives, so they don't feel ownership of it. Also, students are motivated by external rewards and not by the excitement of what they learn, so that itself is another alienating factor so they don't feel an ownership of their curriculum.
So this autonomy and I mean engagement or resistance, is this why, for example, I would have planned a really rich and exciting class, some experience, and I'm there and I'm fully there, And then suddenly two of them will start yawning, and I just feel, what happened? Right? This was supposed to be so much fun. I did it for you, but is it the problem that I did it? That's why.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about it earlier, and we questioned the choice aspect of autonomy. But I mean, one model is that if there is autonomy, there will be engagement. But then, what is autonomy actually? And what if it's synonymous with feeling engaged or being engaged with what's being communicated or shared in that space?
You mean, okay, you're saying it's not let's get autonomy in place, then we'll get engagement. You're saying this autonomy may be just like a unicorn and there's just engagement. When we see it, we say, I mean, we can call it autonomy if we wish, right? I think that if a child or even an adult for that matter were curious about why I resist, that might be a way to go. Just being curious about why am I resisting something.
That is a curious idea.
No, I mean, okay, first let me put aside one thing which may be a confusion. Resistance is necessary in a hostile environment or in an unreasonable environment, right? If a school is doing unreasonable or violent things, resistance is good. But I'm saying in a benign environment, even there's this voice, no, that's going, I prefer this, I don't like that, I want to do A, I don't want to do B.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, what's it based on? Right? That whole tendency to prefer, that may be a problem.
Yeah, and I mean, we can see this clearly in children many times, but maybe not very clearly in ourselves. This being driven by our preferences, by our pleasure seeking, right? And therefore resisting whatever is not pleasurable or what is not our preference. And be jackfruit, washing dishes, or mathematics, anything. It goes from there. So are we then suggesting that this inner voice that tells us what to do, what not to do, is something that may be preventing engagement?
I'm just wondering if we could notice that inner voice, if we could hear it sometimes in a slightly detached way, then maybe it would become quiet and we could give attention to the task at hand, to whatever is in front of me. What prevents me after all?
Yeah, so learning to engage with tasks brings its own autonomy and meaning and participation, I think. And this is interesting because we don't now have to entertain children in order to persuade them to learn. I feel we can help them and us see that there is a richness in daily living and daily learning. And if we participate in it without resistance, then something interesting can happen there.
And I mean, in this case, I have also seen that then whose decision it is to, I mean, who decides what should be done in the classroom or in the group space becomes irrelevant, right? Because people may be involved in either case, or if someone is not involved in both cases, let's say I decide something and then the student decides something, but in both those cases there's a child who's resisting or not involved. It seems like there's something other than choosing what I want to do that's coming into the way. And I think that's interesting, maybe even to think about that. Maybe if you could watch that, something else could come up. Thanks. I think it was nice to have this conversation with the bamboo at the back. We can stop for today.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.